Good morning. It is Wednesday, September the 8th, 2021. This morning we have another science class, Unit 5, Energy and Forms of Energy.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, September 8th. Already halfway the week again. Science this morning, all about energy. Remember, Unit 5, Energy. Today we will review what we know already and then we add a few more forms of energy. So it will all be about different forms of energy. There are some difficult words. I will have some in our vocabulary and then later in the book we will explain what those words mean. Okay, so they're quite difficult words, but let's see how far we get. So for now we start with our vocabulary. So write the date in your notebook, Wednesday, September 8th, as always. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's have a look at those difficult words. Okay, the first three words. Remember, when you copy them after explaining, just pause the video and copy them and then play the video again, okay? So number 1, Kinetic. 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 Kinetic is a form of energy. So, I told you it's a bit difficult, but we will see it later in the book. Kinetic energy is the energy that an object has that moves. So a good example would be, let's see, what if this clock, right? And I throw it. When it flies through the air, it has kinetic energy. How can I feel that? By catching it. I feel that there is energy, right? So for example, if I throw this, or somebody throws it and it hits me, boom, that will hurt. Because it has kinetic energy. The heavier something is, the more kinetic energy it has. So if you throw a big rock, that has even more energy, because if that hits me in the head, I would probably be dead, right? So how heavier, the more kinetic energy. For example, this towel, you can throw it as hard as you can, and if it hits me, I don't feel anything. Why? Because the towel is very light and has only a little bit of kinetic energy. Okay? So, kinetic energy is the energy that's inside moving things, but later you will see it in our lesson. Okay, number 2. Potential. 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 So it comes from the word, potential comes from the word like maybe or possibly. For example, you have a rubber band. Now, in a rubber band, if you hang it like this, there's no energy in a rubber band. The only thing that's there is gravitational energy pulling it. If you drop it, it will fall. But if you stretch the rubber band, now there is energy in there. But it is potential energy. Only if you let it go, poof, then the energy will be released. So, potential is, there's energy there, but we're not using it yet, but we can if we want. So that's potential, but in your book it will be explained. Then this one from previous lessons about forces. Gravitation is a force, but gravitational is also energy, gravitational energy. It is the force and the energy that keeps us on the planet. Yeah? It is the force that makes things fall down. Gravitational. Also, this will be discussed later in the book. So, one more time. Kinetic, potential, gravitational. Difficult words. Just pause the video, write them down, and then I will get the other three. Okay, three more. Number 4, elastic, elastic, elastic. Elastic energy. Remember, the rubber band is made of rubber and it's elastic. Elastic means if you pull it and you let it go, it will go back to its original shape. That is elastic. So elastic means you can stretch it. If you let it go, it will go back to its original shape. So the energy in the rubber band is called elastic potential energy. But we will see that in the book. Number 5, chemical. 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 Well, chemicals are things, for example, that you use to clean something. But it has very more meanings, more. Oh, you can explain it in so many ways. So it's a little bit hard to do that right now. Let's look at our lesson later, and then I will try to explain it again next time, because there's so many factors. Yeah, so I need to find like a good way to explain what chemical means. But later in the book we'll come back. Then number 6, mass. M-A-S-S, mass. Mass is another word for weight or volume, how heavy something is. I told you, the heavier something is, the more kinetic energy it has. So the heavier means the more mass. For example, a little rock like this has a little mass. But a big rock like this has a lot of mass because it's very heavy. So mass means the same as weight or volume. Okay? Okay. Elastic, chemical, mass. Okay, just pause the video, copy the words, underline them, and then we will see in our book what all these words mean and how can we interpret them. Okay, let's review first. Get your science book, please, your science textbook, and go to page 72. We will review first our lesson from last week, and then we will continue to read about 4 or 5 more forms of energy, the ones that we had on our board. Potential energy, kinetic energy, gravitational energy, and so on. So go to page 72. Page 72. We start at page 72. Okay? Okay. I will see you after we read about the energy.
Okay, let's review first page 72. We did this already last week, but just a reminder. Remember, energy is the ability to do work. We cannot see or touch energy. We can only see the effects of energy. Energy is very important to living things and non-living things. Remember, we need energy, so we eat, and we get our energy from food. Same as animals and plants, they also need nutrition to grow. Non-living things need energy to move, for example, batteries or electricity. Some non-living things need, like fire, for example, a pot to heat up needs energy, so we burn gas under the pot so the pot can heat up. So non-living things need energy to move or to do work. Cars also need energy. We put petrol in cars, fuel, so they can drive. A TV needs energy. What do? We give it electricity, so we can turn it on and off. So these are some examples of how we use energy.
Okay, so that was the review for last week. Now we go to page 73 and we will read about, and 74, and we will read about 5 or 6 more forms of energy. Okay? We don't do them all, we do them step by step because it's a lot to take in with many difficult words. But let's see how we get on with it. Okay? So go to page 73. I'll be there too to guide you through it.
So today we will look at a few different forms of energy. Look at the first one. Let's read. Energy exists in many forms. Kinetic energy, remember kinetic from the vocabulary, is the energy due to the movement of an object. All moving objects have kinetic energy. The amount of kinetic energy a moving object has depends on its mass and how fast it is moving. So remember, the heavier the object, the more mass, the more kinetic energy. Also, the faster it's moving, the more kinetic energy the object will have. So when two objects are moving at the same speed, the object with the greater mass, so the object that is heavier, has a greater kinetic energy than the object with the smaller mass. So remember that, the heavier, the more energy. Okay, and then there is potential energy. What is potential energy? Potential energy is the energy stored in an object. There are 3 forms of potential energy. They are gravitational potential energy, elastic potential energy, and chemical energy. So let's look at gravitational potential energy. Gravitational potential energy is the energy an object has due to its height from the ground. For example, you can see here a coconut tree. The coconut on the tree have gravitational potential energy. Potential means they don't give the energy free yet, but it's inside the object. As soon as the tree lets go, the coconut will fall to the ground. Another potential energy is the one I showed you before, elastic potential energy. Elastic potential energy is the energy stored in stretched or compressed objects. For example, that rubber band. If you stretch the rubber band, the potential energy is in the rubber band. If you release it, the rubber band will shoot, in this case, a rock with a slingshot. So that energy from the rubber band is called elastic potential energy. Also, rubber and other stretchable materials contain elastic potential energy. And the last potential energy is chemical energy. So, what is chemical energy? Chemical energy is the energy stored in substances such as food, batteries, and fuels. The substances undergo chemical reactions which change chemical energy into useful forms of energy. So, for example, we eat a piece of bread, our body reacts to it, and a chemical reaction in our body turns the bread into energy. So, the food that we eat has chemical energy. Also, petrol. We put petrol in our car, and then our car burns the petrol and turns it into energy. That energy we can use to drive the car. So food and also petrol contains chemical energy. Okay, there are more forms of energy. We will look at those tomorrow.
So many difficult words. It's okay. We will take our time with this subject because I realize it's a lot to take in. So for now, no need to write anything. what I do want you to do is read page 72, 73 and 74 again. Yeah, try to remember the different kinds of energy, and then tomorrow we will continue. Okay? So, for now, bye bye, or see you at 1 p.m. for our Zoom class.